Alright, so this is the demo for how to get started with your watercolor illuminated letter. What I'm doing first is I'm coating this thing in water to create kind of a barrier so I don't go past it, and I'm doing some wet on wet watercolor application. I'm adding in some violet in with the blue, and what that does is it kind of gives it a little bit more color dimension than just straight blue, and because it's already wet, it's kind of blooming into that. Now that I'm working on the skin, it's going to be good for you guys to have like a little piece of blotter paper to get the majority of the paint out of the brush, because we want to start light and work our way to dark. So now I'm putting in some deeper reddish browns for her facial shadows, and kind of laying those in a very general way. Come back and get specific later. I've mixed up a yellow and orange base to kind of start brushing in her hair, and my brush strokes are kind of going the direction that I want the hair to go. You guys can see I was a little hasty and some of my blue bled into the orange, but that's okay because we'll fix that later. Alright, I'm just putting in some green for the shirt, and then I'm going to let this dry in between. Now I'm coming back, and as you can see, it's now dry, and I'm working wet on top of dry to put in my details. Still working my way light to dark, so now I'm laying in some darker values and some more details with the face and the eyes and the mouth with a tinier brush. And I'm just stroking in where I want some deeper shadows to be. I go a little bit heavy with the shadows on the eyes, so you're going to see how to remove that in just a second. The thing about watercolor is it's continually fluid, so getting more water on the surface will always enable you to kind of blend better. But what I do is at this point is I start putting in her eyelashes as like the last thing that I'm going to do to her eyes, and I'm putting them in black, or you can use a violet color. I'm starting to stroke in some deeper shadows now to give it a little bit more dimension. And I'm putting in sort of brownish strokes to start to articulate where the hair is going to go. And this is once again working wet over top of dry paint. So I can get nice and detailed. It's not going to bleed on me unless I really like get in there with some heavy water. Alright, so I'm just stroking and continually putting in more details as I go. Heavier shadows, still with this teeny brush, using it to outline at this point some of the detail in the eye. And because it's dry, it's wet on dry, I can get some nice precise lines. Now I'm going to put in some of the interior detail as line work. I'm going to come in and blot some of the color off of her face because it got a little bit crazy. So what I did was I just wetted that, and then I hit it with the paper towel to kind of blot up some of that color so it wasn't so heavy. Some people use Q-tips or cotton balls, but paper towel I find works just fine. Now I'm stroking in some hair detail, a little bit of outlining work to kind of really push the three-dimensional nature of it, using purple because black tends to be very kind of dead as far as a watercolor color. So I'm going to put in purple first, and I will come back and probably add a little bit of black later. But I'm just stroking in the hair detail now. Watercolor works best in layers. The more layers you put in, the better it's going to come out in the long run. So as you can see, the image is very stylized. It's got a lot of outlining work and a lot of crisp edges and things. And all of this is done with a fine liner brush, which once you guys get close to putting in details and things, I will provide that for you. Now I'm putting in some deeper shadows to make it look like there's a little bit of a raised edge on the edge of the eye. And I'm just coming in, cleaning up some of the details around our edges and stuff like that. Putting in heavier marks to kind of show so I don't lose those little edged out designs.